Well, obviously, it's the first time we've been hit since last year with a cancellation or a postponement or whatever they're called. And, when it's your rivalry game, everybody's more disappointed. It was a high you kind of build towards a crescendo, and then all of a sudden there's no game. And so Saturday we didn't practice. We just came back at 9 in the morning and talked to our team about getting ready for the next game. And that's kind of what we did. Sunday we met. We walked through some things. We showed some film and, try to take advantage of a day off because now it's going to be just every 2-3 days we're going to be playing till the end of the year. So everything now is headed towards Minnesota, a team that we beat up there, but it was early in the year. They were 9-0 or 10-0 at the time, and I thought we played very well for most of the game. We didn't finish the game very well. But I think, when you look at Minnesota, I think a lot of people had them picked last in the league. And I told you there, Ben Johnson's done a hell of a job. He's still doing a hell of a job. They've lost to Illinois and now an Indiana team that was a pretty good game on Sunday. They have two of the better shooters in the league in Battle and Peyton Willis. We did a decent job containing both of them, not really limiting them all, but containing them. We're going to need that kind of effort again. Eric Curry, played really well against us, but part of it was us, part of it was them. We chose to give him more freedom so that we could make sure we handled Willis in Battle, and he scored 18, which might be a career high, but it wasn't at the fault of necessarily our bigs. It was just how we decided to cover them. They turned us over a bunch at the end. We had a 19-point lead, and I think it showed two things: our vulnerability to turnovers and their ability to, never give up, keep playing hard. And I think Wednesday night will be a very difficult task because I think they're hungry now to get back on the winning streak. And, eventually the hard part for Minnesota is going to be, can you sustain this throughout a Big Ten season when you're only playing maybe 7 guys? That's going to be a little more difficult. But unfortunately for us, we play them twice in the first half of the Big Ten in this crazy schedule, and we'll have played Northwestern and Minnesota twice by the end of this week. So a lot of it falls on us. We're trying to correct the things that we think are negatives. Biggest one, of course, is the turnovers, but also a little more consistency in maybe how we execute our offense and how we guard defensively, how we rebound the ball. So we're spending a lot of time today and tomorrow on us, since we already know what they do. Questions?
Tom, going back to the weekend real quick, the timing was seemed a little, not bizarre, but it was a little different. Did you have communication with them? Were you happy with the communication from them, or was it disappointing to get down?
I was very happy with the communication from Juwan. It was a weird time at night. I don't understand all that. I have been critical, and I am critical. I do not think we are, everybody talks about the betterment of the student athletes, and, I think there should be more transparency in this whole thing, which, believe it or not, I'm telling the media, who's always telling me, there should be more transparency if there's a drug test or there's a kid flunking a class. We're not allowed to say nothing because of HIPAA, and yet here this could affect people's lives. And I just think from administration standpoint that we should have more clarity on everything. Are these things happening because of vaccinations? Are they happening because of boosters? Are they happening because they just happen? What are we going into when we go on the road? I don't know if anybody knows whether we're all vaccinated or they are. Is that fair? I don't know. But as far as, Juwan called me himself. I thought that was classy and good. So I got no problem how it was handled. I think there should be things done, from a bigger picture where, I think there's a lot of things that could be done. One is, everybody's got red shirts or things like that. Should they be given a chance to play like football does, where then, give them back there. If they play in 3 or 4 games, can we give them back? This is a unique situation. Did we need more time? Do we need a week we could have got where we could have rescheduled games? I don't know how some of these games are going to be rescheduled. I really don't. I'm not in the mood to do what we did last year. We played 4 games at the end of the year in 8 days or something against 4 top 5 teams. I'm not sure that's fair either. So this is a weird situation. I just think there's got to be more communication in the big picture and figure out what are these vaccines, who's vaccinated, who's not vaccinated, who's got their booster, who's at risk, so on the front end instead of, maybe, and I still don't, I don't know. I don't know on any teams. Has nothing to do with Michigan, has nothing to do with anybody else. I'm just a bigger proponent of the bigger picture. Are we playing with 7? Are we playing with 6? They said 7, but then they always throw the caveat, unless it's detrimental to you. Well, that's like, you can transfer once and be eligible unless you appeal it. Then maybe you can again. I don't see that. So, you know what? It's, how it was handled by them was fine with me. It was difficult timing for everybody. And maybe we learned from the NFL and NBA, where I don't know if there's got to be done more the day before. If we're not fully vaccinated, do we have to go back to testing every day to protect those that, the best you can? Is contact tracing involved in some of these teams? There's so many I don't knows that I think we should know. Now, maybe it's my stupidity, too, so maybe I'm throwing myself under the bus. But it's a tough situation for everybody. Tough for them. I'm sure they had big crowds. We had people that flew in for the game. It's tough on them. It's tough on us. But it's the toughest, and I think everybody should understand this, toughest on the players. Every time you get a sniffle, you're wondering if you got COVID. And that's difficult. So I just think the best thing would be is to, what are the rules on vaccination? What are the rules on booster? What are the rules on, is it 5 days? Or is it 5 days and then we retest? Again, I might be throwing myself under the bus, but I know there's a couple of conferences that are played no matter what. I know this was a huge TV game. And I feel sorry for everybody, but I just not sure that we have enough strict rules, and I think there should be more transparency on all of us on whether we're vaccinated or not vaccinated, whatever those rules are. That's me.
I'm wondering from your team's end, you won 8 in a row, you had momentum, and then you kind of get the brakes put on it on Saturday. I guess, how have you tried to approach that the last few days to keep that, to put that in the past, I guess?
That's $1 million question that I think we did just that. We gave Saturday off and said, hey, listen, this is going to happen. It could happen again next week, could happen the week after. This is the card you're dealt, and he who handles adversity the best is probably going to be the most successful. And I do believe that. And so I said, it's tough on their players, it's tough on our players. And yet we had momentum. How do you maintain momentum? You maintain momentum by worrying most about ourselves. Let's do what we got to get better at, and that'll take care of some things. Let's not worry about any other team. Let's just worry about how Michigan State handles things. And I told them it's, we've been fortunate. We've had some kids get it. And we've found a way to get through it, but there could be more kids that get it. And I bet you my biggest worry is starting today, there's probably, I don't know, if there's 50,000 students here, probably 48,000 are back, because last year a lot of them stayed home. I don't think that's happening this year, so that means we're going to be in contact with more kids, whether we're in class or not. So we've been preaching the masks. We are all totally vaccinated and are totally boosted. So, I don't have to preach that. I'm preaching to give us the best chance that we believe here, not everywhere, but we believe here, give us the best chance to either stay COVID-free or to be in a position where the recovery is a lot faster and safer. And that's what we're doing, this 5-day thing now that changed with the CDC. That helps some, and yet the momentum that we still have. We didn't win another game, but we didn't lose a game either. We could have done both. And we're as healthy as we can be as far as COVID. We're as healthy as we can be as far as injuries. So we got a lot of things to feel good about, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to feel good about the good things and try to move forward. So many strange things that are happening the last couple of years, just like our schedule. By the end of this week, we'll have played Northwestern and Minnesota twice in the first 7-8 games of this, it's the way it is, the way the scheduling is. I can blame KP for that. I can't blame anybody else. I guess he's involved in that. I don't like that, personally. I liked it better when we, I liked it better when we play a team first and then first the second half or something, but it doesn't work out that way, and that's what happens when you get bigger leagues. But these are strange things that you got to deal with, and at the same time, you got to make sure you keep your perspective on where your team is. Don't be fooled by who you've played and how many times you've played them and things like that. So there's a lot of different things we have to deal with now that we never had to deal with 3-4 years ago.
Just for the record, Tom, Mex didn't release it till 6:30 in the morning. Obviously, you knew before that.
Mm-hmm.
You went down there and you shot. When did Juwan call you? When did you find out there was no game?
I found out about 10:45. Yeah, night before, and we didn't get it out. I don't even know where the process goes from there. Thank God he called me, and then Alan called me. I don't know if the ADs talked. I don't know if the commissioner was involved. I don't know if the people at the Big Ten office. I really don't know. But he was kind enough to call me, and then we didn't think it was right. We're in the hotel, so we just stayed there and got up at 8:30 or 8 o'clock and left by 9 and came home.
I read the release, but in terms of the reschedule, that's to be determined. There's not a lot of time to put this in your schedules, is there?
No, and I just saw where they, is it public that they're not playing Purdue either. I don't know what their schedule is compared to ours. It's got to be similar. And, this year we didn't put a week in there that we could make up games. So it creates, some problems, but it's the way it's going to be. It's the way it is, and that's why, we're in the situation we're in. We can't do anything that's an act of God, and we're just going to have to play by the rules we're dealt. I just keep hoping that at least the things we can control would be more out in front.
Yeah, Tom, I had a question about the reschedule too. You mentioned there's not as much flexibility. It seems like it would be hard to get a date that is equal for both teams as far as days off beforehand, before a road game after. Do you have input in that, or are there parameters as far as how that gets rescheduled at all?
You guys been with me the last couple of years. Do you think I have input on anything? I don't have input on whether I take the garbage out or not. I get told that at home. So I have no idea. But I will answer this question, but then I want to move on to Minnesota because I don't have an idea. I'm not, no, I have no say right now. I mean, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna play every game I can play. Okay, I'm gonna play every game I can play. I said that last year. You know, we came off 17 days and played 3 days after we started practicing and got our brains beat in for 3 games. But I still hope that we'll all play every game we can play. If we don't have enough players, if it happens to us and we're down to 5 players or whatever situations are at different schools, we won't play either. But if we can, I want to play, and I just, I don't know how they plan on doing this, but it's going to be hard. You know, last year we had a week that they had kind of put in there. Am I right, Matt? Am I right, Max? Play. Yeah, it became easier with the fans to move games, but we also had a week in there because for the most part, some of us played over Christmas to try to give us that week, and then a couple teams had more than one game, and that made it really difficult. Did we have? Well, we had a couple games, and I think one of our great issues was it was during one of our bye weeks when we were out, so we didn't have as many games to move. But you know, we had that. That hasn't been done this year because we didn't play over Christmas. Or this is the problem with scheduling right now when you have the 2 Big Ten games early, and you're trying to get all these games in before, and then a lot of teams now are going not because of COVID, just because of finals. I mean, what the hell that concept started? I thought we were going like the NBA or NFL now. I mean, but we got classes to go to, so because of finals, you know, there's just so much time, and if you want to give them a Christmas break and be humane, it's hard to put everything together. And scheduling is so much more of a problem than you would think. And then when you got like Michigan State, where you got the GAVA games, the Tournament of Champions, the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and still want to play in some events so you can play 31 games, that's not conducive to spreading things out because they all happen at a certain point in time, and we have no control over any of those dates. None. Zero. So I don't know. It might sound to you like I'm complaining about it. I'm not. I'm just telling you that this is tough on players. It's tough on coaches. It's tough on fans, and it's probably even tough on the media. But it is what it is. And like I said, you play with the cards you're dealt. So I'll close this part of it only because I don't have any. You know, you guys should be calling the people that do have say in this, because it sure as hell isn't the coaches. But we have no control over whether somebody gets sick. We have no control over, that I know of, I have no control over when they reschedule. I'm sure somebody will say, are you okay with playing, you know, this and this? Maybe I'll have an option, I don't know. But I think that too should be defined. If you have so many days of practice after you're healthy, then you should play. If you have so many days, so many guys out, then you shouldn't play. I mean, I think all those things should be clearly defined and not left up for, you know, whatever. I mean, I talked to one guy in the Big 12 that, I mean, they played with very few guys and only one coach. And we can play with one coach and 7 guys, but then there's some leeway in there. So I don't know. I'm just hoping that my guys don't talk to anybody that come back from school for the next 2 months, and we stay as healthy as we can stay. And if we get sick and we can't play, you know, we'll do everything we can do, like I think all these schools will. But a lot of question marks on what's going on, because I think, to use your words, maybe this is one time we're not transparent enough. And I don't think, personally, the HIPAA Act should be in this, like it is with those others. Because I think this could affect a lot of people's lives, and I agree with Michigan. If that was detrimental, they did the right thing, and I do agree with us if we do it. But I think we should be upfront and talking about those vaccinations and whether people believe in them or don't believe in them. At least we should have the ability to say, hey, this could happen, this couldn't happen. My biggest one is there contact tracing? I don't know those. And it could be my ignorance. I just haven't seen that out there. So, back to Minnesota real quick, because we got a hockey guy here that wants to talk to you. And if we talk about Minnesota, I'll answer a couple more questions.
Tom, I know it wasn't that long ago, but in the time since the last Minnesota game, how's your team grown and changed? How have you seen them grow or change at all?
Well, it's funny. That's a good question, because I watched the film of the last Minnesota game, and I said, God, we're a lot better, And it's hard to say if they're better. They got beat at home by Illinois. A lot of us could get beat at home by Illinois. And, that's tough. I mean, they played at Illinois at home, and they played at Indiana, and they gave Indiana a hell of a game. Illinois at home handled them, but I think the points in the paint were like 38-10 or something. And that's a lot because of Kofi and their inability to have a guy. So certain matchups might work bad for us, might work bad for them, might work bad for somebody else. So I think they're playing very well. I thought they played pretty well at Indiana, and I said they got two guys that are dynamite players, and then their role players have played their roles. So I think we're definitely better than we were then. But you still got to make shots. I mean, the funny thing about basketball is you could play so good and not be, because Danton's here. But that's always my frustrating thing with hockey. You could take 6,000 shots on goal and you get a hot goalie and none of them go in. Well, we could get a lot of good shots, and it's one of those days the shots don't go in. And in football, usually bigger, stronger, better team wins. And our two sports, what the hell did we pick these two sports for, Danton? We're stupid? Okay. That's a good point. And I do believe that, though, that things can happen in our sports that are a little different. Usually you keep peppering that goalie, something's going to go through. I've seen a couple times when they don't go through. Usually you can get good threes after good threes, and all of a sudden you're 3 for 20, and you say, God, 19 of those were good shots. And that's the hard part about certain sports.
Tom, to the idea about keeping momentum, you've had games where you played better than you have in other games, but there hasn't been a game this year where there was like a no-show, lethargic effort. And I'm wondering what you sort of attribute that to with this particular group, and do you now sort of trust this group at this point that they won't have that game?
That's $1 million question. I think I do trust them more. I think I have a little better leadership. I think Gabe has brought energy every game. I think Malik is starting to get a little better. I think our point guards are getting a little better, and I think our staff has done even a better job. I mean, I know this will sound crazy, but I'm probably not on the normal Izzo roller coaster, to be very blunt and honest with you, and just trying to figure out that these kids have a lot on their plate too. And the new rules put a lot on their plate. The transfer stuff puts a lot on their plate. The COVID puts a lot on their plate. How would you like to wake up every morning, which we all do, and say, oh, God, I got the chills today, or I got a little sore throat, or well, when those guys think it, up until a couple of weeks ago, they were thinking, man, I'm going to miss 10 games. I might miss, or 10 days, I might miss 4 games. And that's stressful. So I think we've all done a better job of, my staff, I think we've done a great job of trying to manage that situation. And, but I think the players are the key, We've had 2-a-days, and we've kind of talked them through them over Christmas, because you don't want to beat the hell out of them. But trying to always make it, listen, our goals here are to do this, and to do that, there's a process. And even though there's not a process in most of life, there still is a process in athletics. And that's what I'm harping on every day. There is a process. And to go from A to B, you gotta do something, and that's what we're trying to do. And I don't know if momentum, scheduling has something to do with it. I mean, I don't know how to say this without insulting myself or our opponents, but you look at her schedule, and in the Big Ten, we played some of the teams that have been picked by you guys or by the coaches in the bottom half of the league. So sometimes scheduling helps you get momentum. Just like, you win 4 or 5 in a row because of your schedule. You play 4 out of 5 on the road in a top team like a Purdue or Illinois at home, you could lose 5 in a row. And that's what I'm trying to keep perspective of too for our team as we move forward. But the nice thing about winning is there is a hunger there is momentum, there is a feel good. And we haven't played quite good enough where there's a cocky feel good. There's always been enough that has happened at the end of some of these games where you still get to coach the next day. And as all of us would probably admit, it's a lot better to coach mistakes after a win than it is to coach mistakes after a loss, unless you have a team that just can't handle success. And I don't think our guys they have enough humility. They know we're not, aren't ready to beat the world, but we're making some progress. And I think you're seeing what I told you you'd see at the beginning of the year. A lot of teams that have been up and down. There's some weird upsets this weekend, and I said that was going to happen, and I believe it'll still happen, and we're a team it could happen to too. So I'm trying to keep things in perspective.
Coach, the way in which that first game went against Minnesota, they scored 40 in the second half. There were early in the season, it was the second half where you were struggling. The last 2 games in the second half where you guys have really produced a lot of great moments. What is it about? What has changed that's made the second half more of your strength in this season so far?
Well, I give Mel Tucker a little credit. I told my team, that they've been a great second half team the whole time, and I did talk to him about that. We have to finish stronger. I'm going to give Mel some blame that we haven't followed him. They started out 4 out of 6 games where they had a touchdown, I think, on the first play, wasn't it? It was ridiculous. So my guys, what I'm trying to do is, can we get consistent and start good and finish good? And if we do that, we're going to be a lot better off. But I do think we've harped on the finishes. I think we've talked about the second half stuff. And I think we have enough depth that it shouldn't be from fatigue like some teams. So, we just, what you emphasize is what you get. So somebody should say you should emphasize a good start and a good finish, and then we'll all be happy. Appreciate it, guys. Sorry I can't give you anything else, but trust me when I say that as far as the coaches, everything was handled perfectly, and it's just a tough situation. When it's your rival game, you always look at it differently. If it was Indiana-Purdue, it's different than if it was Indiana and Minnesota. If it was, it's just the way it is, even though they all count one, as George Perlis said. Sometimes the rivalry game counts a little more. Thanks.